Good morning. It's good to be back and talking about scripture. And this one is kind of uneventful, but it's interesting to me as always. We're still in the book of Acts, 25th chapter, the second half of it. And so, we've had all the exciting parts of Pentecost, of the Spirit being poured out, and Paul being on mission. But now, hey, Annie. But now it's after Paul's arrest in Jerusalem, and he got down to Caesarea to keep him safe from just being executed by the authorities in Jerusalem. So just recap, Paul is trying to open the Christian faith to anyone who would want to come along and find faith and relationship with God. And those who are Jewish, who are okay with this new concept within Judaism, are not okay with their one eternal God being worshipped by people who are not following all the laws of Judaism or particularly being circumcised. So he's been in jail, house arrest in Caesarea for 2 years. Leadership changed, and Festus inherited Felix's problems. Felix, according to Luke in the book of Acts, was looking for a bribe, didn't get it, so he just left Paul in jail. And now Festus, who's having to deal with his prisoner, really cannot find a chargeable offense. But then, so where we are now is that some dignitaries come to visit Caesarea. This is, hey, Carolyn. This is King Agrippa. So if you thought our politics was strange, this is even stranger. There's a king in the area, King Agrippa, and he has been left pretty much as a figurehead. He knows he hangs on to that title through the auspices of Rome. And so he doesn't want to upset Rome, but he also enjoys the pomp and circumstance around his position. So there's King Agrippa, but he really doesn't have much power. And there's the governor, Festus, and he does have power as a Roman citizen, but they're all wondering what to do with Paul. Continually wonder what to do with Paul. And that's pretty much this passage is, what are we going to do about Paul? So it says, beginning at the 13th verse in the 25th chapter, that a few days later, and that was after Festus had folks from Jerusalem down to accuse Paul and really couldn't figure out what the argument was about. So it says, a few days later, King Agrippa and his wife Bernice visited Caesarea to welcome Festus to his new post. After several days, Festus brought up the Paul's case to the king. He said, I have this man on my hands here, prisoner left by Felix. When I was in Jerusalem, the high priests and the Jewish leaders brought a bunch of accusations against him, and they wanted me to sentence him to death. I told him that wasn't the way we Romans did things. Just because a man is accused, we don't throw him to the dogs. Notice that it's only a Roman citizen that they don't. But anyway, we make sure the accused has a chance to face his accusers and defend himself against charges. So when they came down here, I got right on the case. I took my place in the courtroom and put the man on the stand. The accusers came at him from all sides, but their accusations turned out to be nothing more than arguments about their religion and a dead man named Jesus, who the prisoner claims is alive. Since I'm a newcomer here and I don't understand everything involved in this case, I asked if he'd be willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried there. Paul refused. He demanded a hearing before His Majesty in our highest court. So I ordered him returned to custody until I sent him to Caesar in Rome. Agrippa said, I'd like to see this man and hear his story. Good, said Festus. We'll bring him in first thing in the morning and you'll hear him for yourself. The next day, everybody who was anybody in Caesarea found his way to the great hall, along with a top military brass. Agrippa and Bernice made a flourishing grand entrance and took their places. Festus ordered Paul brought in. Festus said, King Agrippa and distinguished guests, take a good look at this man. A bunch of Jews petitioned me first in Jerusalem and later here to do away with him. They have been most vehement in demanding his execution. I looked into it and decided that he had committed no crime. He requested a trial before Caesar, and I agreed to send him to Rome, but what am I going to write to my master, Caesar? All the charges made by the Jews were fabrications, and I've uncovered nothing else. That's why I brought you before this company, especially you, King Agrippa, so we can come up with something in the nature of a charge that will hold water. For it seems to me silly to send a prisoner all the way for a trial and not be able to document what he did wrong. You're a smart man, Festus. You cannot try somebody for something they didn't do. And it's interesting that it seems like Festus would just as soon release Paul and get rid of his problems, but Paul's been incarcerated for 2 years, and he really does not know which direction to go. Also, Festus is a Roman citizen, and he's a good man from what William Barclay tells us, who is a biblical researcher. And so Festus is really just trying to do the right and legal thing. And King Agrippa is Jewish, and so he's like, okay, you guys know what's going on. And you can help to explain to me what the issue is. I know many times in my life I was like, can you help me to understand what's going on here? Because I really don't understand. And that's where Festus is. And mostly he needs a chargeable offense. One of the things this harkens back to is when Jesus was killed, what the Jews told Pilate was that Jesus claimed that he was the Son of God, which of course Jesus never did, but they said that he did, and enough people were willing to agree with that. And the issue was not that he said that he was the Son of God, but also that Caesar claims to be Son of God. And so since both of those titles were being used, they said that Jesus was trying to usurp Caesar's power. So they could, and because Jesus wasn't a Roman citizen, they were like, okay, we can get rid of him. And the trial that they had on Good Thursday night, on Holy Thursday night, was supposedly a trial to have him face his accusers, which all of that was a sham, and we know that. And one of the reasons it could be was that Jesus was not a Roman citizen. So here's Paul, who is a Roman citizen, who's very intelligent, and has talked his way out of and into trouble for all of his ministry. Festus cannot find a chargeable offense for a Roman citizen. And he's unwilling to go ahead and send back Paul under Paul's duress. My guess is Festus could have said, well, I don't care what you say, Paul, I'm going to send you back. But again, that Roman citizenship kind of rears its head. And Agrippa, King Agrippa and his wife are maybe not looking for entertainment, but I don't think they're looking for a real concerned justice. I think they just kind of want to see what's going on. And Paul is the biggest noise in town these days. Paul is the one who has been causing all kinds of trouble. And the trouble he is causing is that he wants everyone included in God's salvation story. I said it a number of times. Because of Paul, we are included. And I get that, Jesus is the Son of God and Jesus is the one who showed us the way. But Paul was the one who did the legwork after Jesus' death to put in place a faith that draws in anyone who believes in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. So Festus is looking for a chargeable offense. And as we get to chapter 26, Paul will speak. And again, I know why this section of scripture is never really put into a preacher's hands, because there's not a whole lot preachable here. It's just the details of life, which again I find interesting. The details of this guy Festus trying to talk to Agrippa, trying to figure out Felix's mess, who didn't get any money from Paul, so didn't release him, and having the frustration of not having any way really to move forward. But ultimately, Paul does get sent to Rome, so Festus figures out something to do. But not before Agrippa puts in his 2 cents, who is, again, this kind of puppet king of the province of in Galilee area. And so I don't think Agrippa really has any power. He holds on to what little power he has because of Rome, and he knows that Rome has placed him there and Rome can remove him. But he is enjoying the privileges of his kingship. And that's what he's doing here, is just going in to greet Festus as the new governor, probably having some really good meals, some good entertainment. And part of the entertainment is listening to the latest evangelist, Paul, who is been under arrest for 2 years. So that's where we are. Not a lot to be said, so I'm willing not to say a lot. And to greet you and to know that Paul stayed faithful through all of this. Paul held to what God was doing in his life and refused to back down or to say what the Jews in Rome wanted him to say. He was going to stick by what God had led him to evangelize and the mission that God had sent him on. And so there's Paul, continuing to be faithful. And again, I don't know what Paul was thinking, but I think probably he was looking forward to an opportunity in that setting, in front of so many people, to once more tell the story of faith, to tell who Jesus Christ was, to once again witness to the power of Christ in his life, and let the message that God had given him to proclaim be known to the people who had gathered just to kind of observe this interesting case that had come before Festus. So that's where we are. Hopefully you can stay cool on this hot summer day and enjoy. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.